All right, what's going on, everybody? It's Sebastian Source checking in here live, and I have a special guest with me here. Of course, he's been a frequent guest here on the Boxing Source. He is the president of Salita Promotions, Mr. Dmitriy Salita. How are you doing, brother?
Everything is great. Always good to be on. Good to catch up with you.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Just catching up on a few things. I know that you're well rested of sorts there after being over in the United Kingdom for that great event that took place over there with Claressa Shields becoming once again the undisputed middleweight champion with her win over Savannah Marshall to take back the WBO middleweight championship there by unanimous decision. So what did you think about that overall experience going over there in the UK with your fighter Claressa Shields?
It was an incredible experience. I believe one of the most historic performances in the sport of boxing ever. It's something that will be remembered for a long time to come, similar to Ali's great victories. I really believe that she has cemented herself as an all-time great. That event was incredible. I don't remember. I'm a big fan of the sport of boxing, followed boxing for over 20 years. I do not remember an American fighter in the peak of their career going to fight a rival in their country, a rival who is also a significant star. Actually, the odds before the fight has Savannah as a favorite, oddly enough. And for Claressa to do what she
Mm,
did in front of 20,000 fans, I would say 90% in the beginning of the fight, maybe 95% were against her, and people were booing during the American national anthem. So it was it
hmm
was not a friendly atmosphere, but uh, but the British fans are great because they love boxing and they're very passionate about it, and obviously uh, very expressive of it. And Claressa just did an incredible job. I mean, it couldn't have been better for Claressa. Could not have been better for women's boxing. Just the intensity and the competitiveness of the fight. I feel like Claressa won 7 or 8 out of the 10 rounds, but the rounds were competitive, and Savannah came to fight, and she brought out the best in Claressa. And looking at that fight ringside, you wouldn't know if it was men or women fighting. It was so competitive, such high intensity of skill, power, just really the highest level of professional boxing. And Claressa, once again showed what she's about, and it was really tremendous and a great honor and a great lifetime experience to be part of that, to be a part of that event, and to have been associated with Claressa and working with her since the very beginning of her professional career.
yes, and like you were saying, it was a very great fight, very great atmosphere. One thing that I was looking at for this particular bout was the first off the skill level of Claressa Shields here. I thought that would have been, the major difference in this fight. But what got to me was the amount of power that she showed early in that fight, and that she made a statement early with those power shots. Pretty much like every shot that she threw was with emphasis, whether it was a jab, hook, cross, or anything like that. So I was pretty surprised by the power that came behind her punches, and I thought that that was really a big difference in that particular fight. And like you were saying, she pretty much like won 7 or 8 of those rounds. Where to me, I felt like a couple of those rounds were because she was like, taking a break or trying to collect herself for all of the energy that she expounded through at least that first half of the fight. But it was, like you said, a very great fight. One fight that could be considered as a fight of the year candidate there, for the sport of boxing. So I thought that was great overall.
Yeah, Claressa showed tremendous skill, heart. She was very explosive. To Savannah's one punch, she threw three, and when you Savannah had a bit of a in a round where she tried to land a combination, Claressa would come back with twice as many punches. She exploded many times, and just did a fantastic job. And I'll give a shout out to Dave Scooter Honig, Claressa's fitness and conditioning coach, who's helped her prepare for this fight. And all of that training paid off. All those sprints on the track paid off, and could not have been a better fight for women's boxing. A more of a historic event, sold out crowd, the highest women's boxing audience ever on Sky, highest watched women's sporting event ever, and the second biggest fight, men and women, since 2014. So that's Anthony Joshua, Josh Taylor, all the great fighters that are champions and the superstars in the sport. Only one did better than the fight with Claressa versus Savannah. And that says something. Talking about women getting paid, women getting what they deserve in terms of equality, well, that fight showed it all. And not only inside the ring, but also by the numbers and by the fan support and by the interest of fight fans and I guess non-fight fans of what the fight was about. So I do think that sometime down the line, a rematch is in due course, and it'll be tremendous. And we're just looking forward to writing the rest of Claressa's history book.
Yes, like you mentioned, with the amount of viewers that watch this fight, around the world, was noted like a reported over 2 million
Not around,
people
not around the
flew
world,
around there.
not around the world, just in the UK.
Or well,
It
it's
was
in
more than
UK. I was
just the
in
UK.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, just with those numbers of more than 2 million. So, like you said, with the rematch, it would be more of a more successful and a more lucrative fight, for both combatants there. So, we're definitely looking forward to seeing what the future is for Claressa Shields as the multi-time undisputed champion there, in her future. More things, they're out and about there with Salita Promotions. I know that deal with various fighters such as Jarrell Miller, Ergashev, and things like that, and also with that Detroit Brawl Boxing Series. So I wanted to know, first off, when would be the next Detroit Brawl Boxing Series coming to the state of Michigan?
So October was a pretty busy month for us. We had Claressa fight October 15th, then we had a show box on October 21st, which was in Bally's Atlantic City, and
Hmm.
Joshua Pagan, one of the fighters from the Michigan area, national champion, undefeated now 4-0, fought an undefeated fighter from the state of Ohio, did a tremendous job. Joseph Hicks, U.S. Olympic team captain, also fought on that undercard, non-televised undercard, did a great job. Moses Johnson, I believe, one of the best American heavyweight prospects from New York City, fought Elvis Garcia on the first televised fight, battle of undefeated heavyweights. He won. He showed that he got the skills to pay the bills. One of the better heavyweights in the division coming up. Then the day after, on October 22nd, Robert Sims Jr. beat Kenzie Morrison 22-0. Robert was the opponent, but he's a very good fighter, someone you can't sleep on. Got tremendous amount of skills. He's from Saginaw, Michigan. So that was a great month of October. So many victories and so many guys, um, stepping it up and making it count. In October, we also did Jermaine Franklin's fight with Dillian Whyte, which is going to happen November 26th
Hmm.
in the UK as well. Jarrell last week got his license in Nevada, so he's climbing back up the ranks. We're working on our next Detroit events, hoping to teaming up with a streaming service or network to give this incredible city and fighters a platform to showcase themselves and keep growing the sport of boxing and adding our flavor to it. And as a fighter, I love the sport of boxing, and
Right.
being signed with different promoters, I took away some of the great things that they had, and now looking to put my own salt and pepper on it, and add some flavor and make it work. So it's been post COVID. It's been very good, and looking forward to some great things for the rest of the year.
I got you. Yeah, you said you wanted to add some salt and pepper. I don't know. You might want to, add in a little bit of paprika and some oregano on to the sport of boxing up there. But we kind of talked about how your impact is as a promoter here in the sport of boxing and having those eyes as being a former fighter to see like what goes on in the boxing business and how that helps out when you deal with a lot of the fighters that are there on your stable at Salita Promotions. Now, you did talk about Jermaine Franklin there in position to fight Dylan Whyte coming up in November. Of course, Dylan Whyte is former world title contender, had his last fight with Tyson Fury earlier this year. So big win by Jermaine Franklin, puts himself in position to really kind of be one of those major contenders in the heavyweight division.
For sure. I think Jermaine, young, hungry, skilled fighter, definitely has the skills to beat Dillian Whyte. A tremendous opportunity for him. He's currently in the UK with Tyson Fury, putting in the work, getting himself ready, getting some pointers from the champ. And I believe it's going to be an incredible performance by Jermaine. He has all the skills to do what he has to do. I think Dillian Whyte is on the other side of his career. He's slowing down. And certainly a win by Jermaine in the UK would take his career to incredible heights. And very happy to have worked with him for the last 3 years. Since 2019. So 3.5 years. All of his fights with me have been on television, except for the last one, which was just a comeback fight. And looking forward to a big end of 2022 for him. And with a win, he can get himself in line to fight Anthony Joshua, Usyk, Tyson Fury, etc.
Right. Yeah, I mean, he's already entered in some of these sanctioned bodies rankings there, and like I said, having to fight against Dillian Whyte would put him, or enter him into more of these rankings out there for these sanctioned bodies, whether it's a WBC, WBA, IBF, or WBO. But speaking of that, you also do have a few other fighters that are in other weight classes that are positioning themselves to kind of like be higher in the rankings that they're on. And I know that you had a couple of undefeated fighters as part of your previous Detroit Brawl Boxing Series that are campaigning to be in the rankings. I think it's like in the 140-pound division, and also maybe 135, if I'm not mistaken. I know one of them is supposed to be at 140.
175. So Shohjahon Ergashev,
175. Yeah.
One of the best
140.
one of the best junior welterweights in the world. Big puncher, good boxer, trains with Sugar Hill Stewart, and Ali Izmailov, another incredible world-rated light heavyweight. I really believe the best light heavyweight in the world. A year from now, trained by John David Jackson. Very good fighter, big puncher, good boxer, now training in the United States. I really believe both of those guys to rule the division. Nikolai Potapov, 118-pounder, we're getting ready to announce a big fight for him, an eliminator. Vladimir Shishkin, super middleweight, very skilled. We see Canelo is going to have surgery, so he's probably going to vacate that title. So we're going to make some big moves with Vladimir. So some big things towards the end of the year, and I'm very excited about all these possibilities. But what I love the most, honestly, is I love grassroots boxing. I love to see fighters that have potential and climb up the ranks and build themselves up. That's why I love the Detroit Brawl Series, is because not only does it feature great fighters like Ergashev and Ali and some others, but also features young guys like Joseph Hicks, the U.S. Olympic team captain, turning pro on a fast track to success. Joshua Pagan, like I said, and loads of other young, incredible talent. So we look forward to next year to be able to promote these events on a consistent basis like we have this year, and to showcase continuous young talent and just keep the ball rolling.
Gotcha. And you talk about that young talent and things like that. One of the challenges, it seems like, for some promoters with the fighters that they have is to, keep the fighters active regardless of what, level that they're at in their professional career.
Yeah.
Kind of like, going to, like, say, for example, with Joseph Hicks Jr. or, like you said, with Ergashev, like trying to position these guys to have those type of fights so that they, stay active regardless of the type of fight or the level of fight that they have.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's very important to stay busy. And again, being a fighter myself, I understand the importance of it and how important it is for development of the career, and not only for one to fight and to develop and to get better, to be able to tell the story to the fight fans and to the public. I think that's a very big part of it. So that's why we have the Detroit Brawl Series, which is a grassroots boxing series that showcases world-class talent as well as young guys. I feel like, again, COVID, put a stop on a lot of things, but I think Detroit Brawl is maybe one of the few, maybe the only consistent boxing series thus far has been off TV, but showcasing probably the best off TV show in the United States, I would have to say. It showcases such great talent and competitive fights. I mean, Ali Izmailov fought a fighter that was 14-0. Ergashev, who's 21-0, fought a fighter that was 14-1. So where do you see that? That's a TV show, but we got to keep the train rolling, and we got to keep progressing the sport of boxing and our fighters and the brand of boxing in Detroit. I think Detroit, one of the few cities in the United States that has all the major league teams like basketball, football, hockey, baseball. And however, all those teams are subpar, with all due respect. It's been boxing throughout the generations that has brought world titles to the city, and obviously the Kronk Boxing Gym. So many fighters, so many world champions, both local from Michigan and Detroit, around the world and around the country as well. Mayweather's from Michigan. Claressa from Michigan. Ohio is, 40 minutes away, also incredible amount of talent. So I really believe that this Midwest area is a grassroots hub of talent, and we're working on making it a hub of professional boxing. Would love to have a show a month here, and I believe that with the right package and the right partners from TV perspective and a venue perspective and sponsorship perspective, I really believe that it can be contained. And I think that there's enough sports fans, enough of fighters from different backgrounds to be able to appeal and enjoy a night of the fights once a month, like there was at in the 90s with where Tommy in the 90s, the 80s, the 90s. It was at the Palace. There was a monthly series at the Palace, the Palace of Auburn Hills, which was the stadium of the Pistons. There was a very successful series: Tuesday night fights, Friday night fights, all these things that helped develop boxing and helped develop so many fighters and really made the boxing fans happy. So boxing is one of the major sports in Detroit that still hasn't caught up to the other ones, but it will. One more question, man, and I got to run.
Yeah. Now, just wanted to follow up on that thing there with the boxing series. And you kind of mentioned one of the key things.
I got to drive to school. So
So
we can keep.
So the thing I wanted to follow up with that is, you talk about having that investment in the boxing series, and you talk about the sponsors. It's like the companies that are within the city have to believe in a product and invest in the product in order for it to grow. So talk about what it could take for these companies to say, hey, you know what, this is great, this could be something that's consistent, so let us put our investments or our funds towards this particular product that brings the city together to watch people in action.
Right. So Little Caesars is the new big arena in Detroit, kind of the Barclays Center, Madison Square Garden of the city, where all the major sport teams play, like the Pistons and the Red Wings, and
right.
Sorry. So, for some reason, the company that runs them hasn't had a big boxing event in the city of Detroit, I think, in more than 15 years. And, like as an example, the Barclays Center, Brett Yormark liked boxing and he invested in it. And now the Barclays Center is one of the premier venues of boxing in the country and is incredibly successful. But it takes someone at the top to understand boxing, to like boxing, to have vision. And so far, I haven't met these people, in the venues that we've been communicating with. But I do think that it'll happen because we're developing so much talent, and the Detroit dailies are getting behind it, like Detroit News and Detroit Free Press and the Michigan Chronicle. Talks about our fights and our fighters, and obviously the historic success of Claressa, Jermaine having a big fight, the Detroit Brawl Boxing Series, Sugar Hill, Kronk Trainer training Tyson Fury, maybe the greatest fighter in the sport today, one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. So it just doesn't make any sense. And all these people are Detroit and Michigan based, born, bred, and it doesn't make sense that there is not a consistent high level boxing program like there is in New York City or in Vegas or anywhere else. So, from my point of view, I just got to keep developing the top talent and keep. At this point, we're financing it ourselves, and it's something that I believe in, and that I believe will pay off. But at this point, I'm investing in it without any support from any local initiatives. While there's been productive conversations, nothing has happened yet. But I do believe that that good things will happen, and with with the help of a with a real sponsor and a real venue, man, this would really, and my vision for it, I think this would really become one of the big hubs of professional boxing in the world of boxing, in the United States, in the world of boxing. And once a month, people from all over the country and from all over the world will come here to watch some great talent. And obviously, a night of boxing isn't only just a fight. It's obviously, the week-long activities, people getting together, all the energy that it creates is really incredible. And we'd love to do that in the city of Detroit. We obviously stage events all throughout the country, but I believe Detroit has a tremendous amount of potential for doing something special, consistent, and we're working, in that direction.
Yeah, gotcha. And it was kind of like the other professional sports you mentioned there with the Pistons, the Red Wings, the Tigers, and of course the Detroit Lions. But with the Tigers in baseball, they have like a farm system, AA or AAA, where they cultivate their players in order for them to be up to the major leagues. But you also could have that from a professional level in boxing, where you could have those young prospects, those up and comers that are coming from the city of Detroit, and have those fights in the city of Detroit, in order to develop them as a fighter while they go through their, professional careers. And so, hey, like you said, with the history of the city of Detroit when it comes to boxing, like I don't see why they can't have something like that. What you're doing there, where they could, fully invest in the Detroit Brawl Boxing Series and have those fighters be able to develop
Correct.
and cultivate
Yeah.
into bigger stars there. So there's that.
Correct. That is very important, and I believe that in our Detroit series, not only Otto Whalen fought on it, one of the best heavyweights in the world. So many upsets, so many great fights happen on this series. So it's a combination of having national, international talent, world class talent, and also having local guys that develop, so that boxing fans that come here can see competitive fights and see some of the biggest names in the sport of boxing, and also can see the champions of tomorrow and build a relationship with them and see them, sometimes win a spectacular way, sometimes struggle, sometimes get a unanimous decision, sometimes get a knockout, all the things that happen during a fight. And all of that builds a relationship. And on our cards, there's various levels of competition. There's 4 round fights, 6 round fights, 10 round fights, title fights. So all of that, is very important in contributing to a healthy boxing ecosystem. And many of the fighters train here, and Detroit, outside of boxing, has been climbing back to championship status. It's America's greatest comeback city. So I really believe that a boxing program, is within the theme of what the city is about. No doubt about it.
Without question. And, like you said, we'll be able to see how that develops here in the future going into 2023 and beyond. But I would like to thank you so much for taking the time to join us here yet again here on the Boxing Source here. That's Dmitriy Salita, the president of the Salita Promotions. And we'll definitely be hearing more from you in the future.
Thank you so much. Always a pleasure to talk to you. And look forward to checking this interview out on YouTube, yeah?
Yeah, no problem. No doubt.
All right,
No doubt.
man. Thanks, man.
All right.
Take care.
Yep.
Bye.